is ABC News 4 at 5.
You know, when Mother Nature is at its worst, human nature is at its best. Sandy, my wife, and I have been riding all over the city. And even on the occasion of this adversity, the remnants, aftermath of the storm, Irma, we're uplifted by the spirit of our citizens of Charleston. They're out this morning helping their neighbors and checking on each other and cleaning up already and putting things back in order. It's very uplifting out there. So I want to thank, first of all, our citizens of our city for their incredible spirit. You make Charleston strong.
Now on ABC News 4 at 5 o'clock, the cleanup begins.
Time and time again, the Low Country is strongest in times of need. Our top story tonight, a story of heroism during the storm.
As Hurricane Irma caused flash flooding in downtown Charleston, a police officer rescued a family from their flooded SUV, jumping into action with little time to spare. ABC News 4 Bill Burr has more on the fast response during a crisis. Bill?
Dean, anyone who spent any time in downtown Charleston yesterday knew how quickly and rapidly weather conditions were changing. During the height of torrential rain and ferocious winds, a family of 3 drove into trouble, and a law enforcement officer jumped into action. Here's what happened. Lieutenant Daryl Stark is a supervisor with the Department of Veterans Affairs Police Service. While he was on duty during the storm, he watched a woman climb out of the window of an SUV as B Street flooded. These photos were taken during the ordeal. Lieutenant Stark says the woman shouted at him for help. Her child and husband were inside the vehicle as it floated down the road. He jumped into the raging torrent and pulled the 1-year-old child and a man from the floating car.
The only thing that was really going through my mind at that time was I didn't want her to get trapped against the vehicle and maybe possibly get sucked underneath the vehicle and possibly be a drowning victim. But after that, really just getting the child out of there and getting the father, getting everybody on dry land.
Lieutenant Stark says people from the Comfort Inn across the street and other VA officers helped during the rescue. He said it was a close call for the family because weather conditions were dangerous. Coming up on ABC News 4 at 7 o'clock, hear more about the efforts of the on-duty police officer as he saved lives during a turbulent time for Charleston. Working for you, Bill Burr, ABC News 4.
All right, Bill, thank you. Important information for parents. While most of Charleston County schools will reopen tomorrow, 2 will not because their power is still not on.
Officials say as of now, West Ashley Head Start and Minnie Hughes Elementary will not reopen tomorrow. If that changes, they'll update the community at 8 o'clock this evening. Jane Edwards Elementary was originally on that list, but power was restored earlier this afternoon. And just into our newsroom, Colleton County has announced a 2-hour delay tomorrow. They say elementary and middle schools will start at 10 a.m. The high school starts at 9:55. For a full list of closures, be sure to head to our website. That's abcnews4.com.
All right, we have been hearing a lot about the weather the last few days. Tonight, we're happy to report nothing about hurricanes or tropical storms or any disturbance in the tropics, because we don't really care about Jose, right? Dave?
Who?
No
way.
Jose?
No way, Jose.
Jose, can you see?
Not a problem at this point, nor do I think it will be, so we won't even go there just yet. We're going to take a look outside and what a difference a day makes. It is looking very pretty outside over top of the Holy City, and when I saw this picture a little bit earlier today, I was just remarking at how green and beautiful our city is. Look at that. We weathered the storm. We got bruised and beat up a little bit, but we're going to be just fine. 80 degrees out there this afternoon, the George Sink Injury Lawyers Skyview Network, and still looking beautiful here in the Holy City, and we're going to be looking good for the next few days. Temperatures struggled a little bit today because of some clouds. We're looking at those readings right now, right around 80 degrees, a little cooler Orangeburg and Walterboro. Winds have certainly calmed down, and that's just fine. We're looking at those mainly southerly winds around 10 to 15 miles an hour. As far as the cloud cover, not much of that out there in downtown Charleston. Thicker clouds back toward I-95, and we're going to see those clouds start to clear out a bit overnight tonight. 66 your low. Tomorrow, sun and clouds, a little warmer, 87, and tomorrow night 69. We've got a nice stretch of weather coming our way. I'll detail that, and we will take a look at Jose. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Dave, thank you. 4 deaths in South Carolina are being blamed on Irma as the cleanup continues around the state. As of late this afternoon, more than 100,000 customers still have no power.
That is down significantly, though, from yesterday's peak of about 250,000 people. SCE&G officials say it could take up to 5 days for everyone in our area to get power restored.
SCE&G officials say 66% of the outages here in the Low Country. More than 9,000 people are still without power in Charleston County, 6,000 in Beaufort. They say they are bringing in crews from Illinois and the upstate of New York to help make this process a bit faster.
Another thing people are worried about tonight, when will the roads get back to normal? There are still several closures in downtown Charleston. Last night, there were at least 24. And right now, the Highway Patrol is reporting backups on I-26 near I-95 because of people returning to Florida after evacuating. How are the roads looking right now? Let's check in with our Sonia Stevens. Sonia?
Thanks, Ashley. And there is still a list of roads that are closed downtown, so we'll talk about that coming up in our next traffic hit. But in the meantime, wanted to talk about some of the immediate incidents, and overall things are pretty quiet. So we're seeing a lot of green. Again, this is because of those roads that are closed downtown. So we'll go down that list here, like I said, in that next traffic hit. There's a traffic light issue in Somerville. That traffic light not working. North Main Street at West 3rd North Street. So that is causing some delays. Also a disabled vehicle 526 West at Clements Ferry Road. Live look out on the roadways right now takes us to the Ravenel Bridge and north and southbound lanes, moving along just fine. This on-time traffic report sponsored by Fred Anderson Toyota of Charleston.
Sonia, thank you. Hurricane Irma brought heavy rain and strong winds to the Low Country, as you know. Now, if you live here, you know it doesn't take much to flood the streets of downtown Charleston. Now, most of those streets are drying out. But earlier today, crews were pumping water out of an overflowing Colonial Lake. Erica Scrippa has reaction from neighbors tonight.
So normally at this time of the morning, you see people running, walking their dogs all around Colonial Lake downtown. But you can't even tell where the lake begins and where the sidewalk begins. Everything's completely submerged right now, but honestly, this is a major improvement from yesterday. The water was covering the lake, the sidewalk, and into the roadway. Went all the way up. I spoke with this neighbor over here, went almost up to her vehicles in the driveway. You can see all the debris from the typically beautifully mulched lake area. Now it's all in the street. But we did speak with a neighbor that's been in the area for about 20 years, and she said this is the worst it's ever been, but she is really glad that the city responded as quickly as they did.
It usually isn't a flood problem, and if you look over your shoulder, there's this big pumping machine here that was put in when the lake was redone several years ago, and that was supposed to help. I've seen it overflow once, and that was many years ago, and it wasn't during some kind of a major storm.
Now, I did speak with the worker on the scene, already been here for a few hours, and said it's been a major improvement, but this process is going to take up to 8 hours to get all of this water out of the lake, off of the sidewalk, and at a normal level again. Working for you downtown, Erica Scrippa, ABC News 4.
Erica, thank you. The Low Country is drying out, but some areas are doing so more slowly than others. Standing water still surrounds several neighborhoods off of Bees Ferry Road in West Ashley. Crosstown Christian Church is still underwater. That is where we find our Caroline Balchunas with a live look at what is happening there. Caroline?
Ashley, the flooding here at Crosstown Christian Church, it's enough to stop you in your tracks. And this is actually an improvement. The water has receded a couple inches since this morning, but there's roughly 8 inches of water inside the church, which means they'll have to rip everything out and start all over. This is the third time in 2 years they've had to gut the inside, and that's not cheap. Pastor Paul Rienzo says both renovations cost about $450,000. Despite the damage, Rienzo says they're now looking to make drastic improvements so they don't have to move.
We're looking at some plans. The mayor was here this morning. We talked. And one of the plans that we're considering is raising the interior of the building 4 to 5 feet. And we're in contact with some engineering firms on that.
Rienzo says the cause of the flooding was overflow from the Church Creek drainage basin that's not far from the property. It'll likely be a couple more days until this water recedes, but in the meantime, Pastor Rienzo says they are looking for an alternative site, so that they can move there while renovations and repairs can begin. Reporting live in West Ashley, I'm Caroline Balchunas. Back to you.
All right, Caroline, thanks so much. Still to come, You want one? It's going to cost you. The iPhone 8. You know how much it's going to cost? We'll tell you after the break.
A whole lot of money. And we're taking a live look now at Skyview 4, cleaning up on Edisto. We will take you live to the island here on ABC News 4 at 5 right after this.
Welcome back. Some low-country barrier islands were hit hard by Irma. Today, the people who live there are starting to return.
We urge everybody to use patience as they return home. Ask that you comply with these specific restrictions from local law enforcement and local government officials on your way home. We want everyone to be safe.
Governor Henry McMaster announced today the islands of Hilton Head, Daufuskie, Tofini, and Knowles are open for re-entry, but Hunting Harbor and Fripp Islands have restricted access, and so does Edisto.
Yeah, this is video from Holy City helicopters showing the island this morning. They went up earlier today. Officials tell us it certainly could have been worse. Scott Eisberg has more now from the ground.
It's bad, but it's not that bad. We're out here on Edisto Beach, and it's certainly different. You see sand here on Palmetto Boulevard. I guess we can call it Palmetto Beach. It's about 3 feet of sand, but comparatively speaking, next to Matthew last year, it's really not too bad. Last year, well over 5 feet of sand that had to be sifted and put back on the beach. As for getting back to normal, it will take a while. But the good thing, 24 hours after this storm, the residents, the business owners can get back out here, assess their property, and see the damage that they took. The mayor says mostly water damage, not too much wind damage, and it's certainly much better than it was last year.
Yeah, we are pretty hardy people down here. We're known to adapt as long as we're in our own homes. That's our comfort area. So I think, yeah, there may be some people that gripe about, I wish I had this. I gripe about not having any TV, internet, or telephone service. But you know what, in the scheme of things, we are most fortunate people.
One very cool thing Mayor Darby said, the municipality here, they reserved 10 hotel rooms over in Walterboro for staff to sleep during the storm. 9 of those rooms they put back into circulation when they said their situation not nearly as bad as others who had to evacuate. They wanted those rooms to be freed up for those who needed them more. So the mayor and the chief and everybody else working, they actually stayed in their house through what they called the very scary storm. On Edisto Beach, Scott Eisberg, I'll send it back to you.
Scott, thank you. The hurricane last night was really hard on a lot of people, but for people with children, it was especially tough.
Today we caught up with a Mount Pleasant mom who said they got lucky and didn't lose power last night.
The kids were great. They weren't really nervous. They were kind of excited to see the huge puddles. We did walk outside a couple of times and get wet and get our energy out, and we danced and listened to music. It was a great day.
Got to get those wiggles out. Jennifer and her kids were out at the Isle of Palms today, enjoying this beautiful weather, rocking the River Dogs hat, munching on some goldfish. There's more of that to come. Dave Williams says so. That's how we know. Let's check in with him.
ABC News 4 First Warning Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Williams.
I had a lot of people, or at least I saw on Facebook, that a lot of people were saying this was much more than a moderate strike from a storm, but no, that was moderate. What Florida saw was extreme from Irma. What we got, it was a tropical storm, and it brought us some nasty weather, the heavy rain, the surge, and that's all possible with a tropical storm. Any tropical system can do this, especially when they're as large as what Irma was, and we were tracking it the whole time, and now we're done tracking it because it's done being a tropical system, although we are still watching it. It's not really all that far away. Here's where we were today. We had a high of 82 degrees, a low of 70, much closer to the average high of 86, and we'll get very close to that average high tomorrow. As far as rain, we dried out, but look at this. The surplus now well over 6.5 inches in downtown Charleston. The surplus is over 15 inches for the year, so we need a little chance to dry out. Here's your Irma rainfall. Both records here. 5.51 inches yesterday at the Charleston International Airport, downtown Charleston. 4.53 inches. We were thinking about 3 to 6 inches with some higher amounts here and there. And that's about what we saw. So now things are going to start to dry out, and it's going to look a whole lot better through the rest of the week. Look at this. not much of anything anywhere in the state. Yeah, we've got some sunshine. Most of the clouds concentrate a little farther to the west over toward Columbia and the upstate, and that's because the remnants of Irma way over there. And this is the storm. It's moving up into the Tennessee Valley, back into the Mississippi Valley, and taking the rain all along with it, and those clouds as well. But you can still see those feeder bands trying to hang on here near the outer banks of North Carolina, stretching all the way back through the Ohio Valley into the Mississippi Valley. So that's how huge this storm system was, and that's why we felt the effects, even though it was hundreds of miles away from us, at least as far as the center of the storm goes. Take you out into the tropics, and we'll take a look at Jose. If I'm not talking about Jose, that means it's not a threat to us. And here's our Category 1 hurricane out in the Atlantic Ocean. 75-mile-an-hour winds. The forecast track on Jose, it looks a little bit ominous here for a while, but then it makes a turn to the north. Here we are Friday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's way out there in the Atlantic Ocean, makes a turn to the north, and that's not going to be a problem for us at all. So there were some of the wind gusts, 76 miles an hour. Parris Island, that was the strongest one we saw. Temperatures right now, 80s along the coast. Farther inland where the clouds are, we've got the 60s. We're going to start to see a clearing overnight tonight. As we go into the day tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine, and there we are, sunshine, maybe a stray shower trying to work in, but I think most of us stay dry for the day tomorrow. 66 overnight tonight, maybe a little fog farther inland, and then into the day tomorrow, 87, so it will be a little warmer. Your extended forecast shows some very nice weather, very low chances for rain, 20, maybe 30% chance for an afternoon shower. So Irma's gone, Jose stays away, and we see some nice weather, which we need. Now we're going to take a look at the roads, and Sonia Stevens is watching those for us.
And Dave, because of that flooding, several roads still remain closed downtown. So I've got 2 different lists for you. We'll run down the list, and I'm in the process of tweeting this information as well. So Hugie between King and Meeting Street, Ashley Avenue between Congress and Fishburne, Barr Street between Montague and Bufane, Wentworth between Lockwood Drive and Gadsden, and then also closed through tomorrow America Street between Lee and Blake Street, Aiken between Line and Columbus, Drake between Columbus and South Street, Alexander between America and Chapel, Washington Street between Chapel and Calhoun, Anson Street between Calhoun and North Market. Again, if you missed any of those, I'm in the process of tweeting that out from our ABC News 4 traffic account. All right, let's take a live look out on the roadways right now. This takes us to 526 there at mile marker 23, so that's near Clements Ferry Road. Eastbound traffic heading toward us. Everything looks good, even in the westbound direction. Traffic flowing just fine at this point. This on-time traffic report sponsored by Fred Anderson Toyota of Charleston.
Sonia, thanks. Still to come tonight with a smile and a wave. She's back in the headlines. The message she's bringing to former supporters.
You can't even see her. And those low country beaches hit hard by Irma. This is a live look from Sky View 4 as some of the beaches, the barrier islands, battling erosion tonight. Coming up next, what island towns are now doing to save those beaches later.
We're seeing it time and time again. Low country beaches took a very hard hit from Hurricane Irma. This is video from Sullivan's Island yesterday, where we found a home that quite literally had its roof blown off.
Yeah, and Sullivan's Island is exactly where we find Megan Rivers. She was out there all day yesterday, and she is back today. Talk a little bit about the changes. What are you seeing?
Well, a lot has changed, Dean, since yesterday. The sun is out. There's no rain. There's not a lot of wind. There's a nice breeze going on. But one thing that hasn't changed is the flooding that still remains behind me. You can see back in the distance, this is exactly where we were standing yesterday, right by that house where the roof blew off. And the flooding still remains. Now, it's not quite as high as it was yesterday, but there still is a substantial amount of water. We're right here in front of the Gardner family home, also known as the Squeeze Inn. And I'm joined now by Mary Charles. And you're the only girl in the family, and this house has survived a number of storms. Tell me, what does it mean, and how does it feel to have Irma blow off the roof?
Well, it was a big surprise because we've gone through so many storms. Obviously, we write them all, my brothers write them all down so that we'll know which ones we've been through. But my grandfather built this house in 1970, and he built it right. Good old German engineering from Fritz Hottinger, and we were very surprised. So not a tropical storm has never done this much damage, you know, to our house.
And you say that today has been about repairing and getting, you know, a tarp over the roof. But tell me about the sense of community you were telling me about earlier.
Oh, well, you know, I've got my brother, of course, my whole family. We had the renters in here, so we're kind of helping him pack up a little bit. And then, of course, my neighbors across the street that are oceanfront, we're always very concerned about them. We were shoveling sand out of their garage, and they come over here and help us. They loan us wood. We go back over next door, shovel sand, you know, so we've always been that way for 30 years.
Well, thank you so much, Mary Charles, for your time, and we wish you the best in your repairs. But again, the cleanup remains underway here in Sullivan's Island. There's still a lot of debris along the roadways and still a lot of water, so make sure that you're double checking these roads before you try to drive through them. We'll continue to bring you the latest and update you when you join us for ABC News 4 at 6. Working for you on Sullivan's Island, Megan Rivers, ABC News 4.
Megan, thank you. Hurricane Irma brought devastation to the entire southeast. Tonight, we take a look at the Sunshine State and the people who are just now returning home.
ABC News 4 at 5 starts now.
The pictures from the battery were astounding. The water yesterday crashing over the battery wall, flooding East Bay Street. In some places, that water was very, very high. And now it is almost clear.
Our Lindsay Maloney is live downtown tonight, giving us a live look at the very latest. Lindsay?
Well, Tina and Ashley, I'm out here at Waterfront Park. Take a look at this. These guys still hard at work. The city had nearly 200 workers working from 7 o'clock this morning. They're still at it with their leaf blowers, their rakes, their tractors, getting all this debris out here for you. They've been out here clearing drains, street sweeping, clearing a lot of this mud. As you can see, we're out here on Concord Street. There's still a ton of mud in the road, and that's the kind of the case for much of downtown, even with these efforts. So a lot of the issues that we're seeing was from all the flooding, like you said from earlier, that video, all the water crashing over that seawall, causing a lot of the flooding in downtown Charleston. So city workers have been hard at work all day long trying to clean up these streets. On the way in, we saw a lot of the flooding, so there's still some issues around downtown, still some closures, still some traffic signals out. We saw some police. They were out there directing traffic because of a lot of the signals out. But as of right now, people still out here working. The city told me as far as the efforts to clear a lot of the flooding, they had 9 pumps, 2 pumps just in the battery alone. So people still at work. They said they'll be out here another 2 hours and they'll be back again tomorrow. Dean Ashley?
Lindsay, thank you. Another part of the low country tonight in recovery mode, Johns Island. Not so much from the rain as the wind.
Yeah, LeGree Farm had a close call with some of yesterday's roughest weather. ABC News 4 photojournalist Jason Ty shows us how man and animal are now moving forward.
Well, it's been wet and nasty out here the last 24 hours. The wind was blowing. The wind was blowing the rain sideways. Animals basically wet and shivering and basically kind of in shell shock, but we got them all fed yesterday. We just have so much water. The main roads on Johns Island are flooding because the ditches hadn't been cleaned out for years. Our roads here on the farm are just muddy, but we're getting by. But our pumpkin patch will be opening in October. We'll be open for the public to come in. The roads will be in good shape. Pumpkins will be in good shape. The cows will be up and running around, ready to eat out your hand on the hay rides. Didn't lose any crops. We have a couple of fields that we're not even trying to go in right now because they're so wet. I'm not even going to try to walk in them. I'm going to just let them dry out. They're doing pretty good. They were a little shell-shocked and wandering around yesterday, but today they're all out grazing or just laying in the shade, relaxing, and I think they're doing pretty good.
How about that, Dave?
Doing pretty well.
Just chilling out in the shade?
I could lay in the shade and be doing pretty good as well.
Out at LeGree Farms?
I could do that.
Let's call Thomas and to see if we can go out tomorrow and just like lay around in the shade.
I bet there's some pretty good fishing to do out there.
Good fishing?
I bet.
Did you see the picture I found today? We're going to run it at 11 o'clock.
I did.
It was a redfish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A friend of mine's son caught it at the at Colonial Lake today.
Yeah, I didn't
really
realize
nice.
there were redfish in there. Now I got a new fishing spot.
Your fishing spot's pretty good over there in Mount Pleasant somewhere.
It's been a few days since you've been.
No,
right?
it's in Somerville, Dean.
Whatever.
Doesn't want to tell the secrets. Great weather today, and hopefully more of that to come.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of nice weather coming our way, fortunately, because it's been very soggy. We've got a huge surplus going, almost 7 inches at the airport, over a foot downtown, 80 degrees, sun and clouds right now. George Sink Injury Lawyers Skyview Network. As we get a look at our temperatures, mid-70s to lower 80s, nice and comfortable out there. And Irma actually brought us much warmer temperatures. Things are warmer today than what we saw yesterday by about 5 to 10 degrees right now. Those southerly winds have brought in the warmer temperatures, and we saw some sunshine today. We'll see even more into the day tomorrow. Unfortunately, what else we're going to see? Some of those skeeters. Recent rain equals more skeeters. We've got our mosquito measure at an 8 today. Your forecast over the next few days, we've got the high up to 87 tomorrow, 88 on Thursday, 89 on Friday. Notice no showers officially in there, but we do have about a 20% chance of an afternoon thunderstorm about every day, but most of us keeping things nice and quiet for the next few days. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the roads, and Sonia Stevens is watching the traffic for us.
Thanks, Dave. And we still have that traffic light issue. That traffic light still not working up in Somerville, North Main Street at West 3rd North Street. So that is slowing things down. Hopefully that issue will be fixed quickly. Checking out some drive times for you. Things looking good along 26, 21 minutes whether you're headed east or westbound. And looking pretty good along 526 as well. 21 minutes from Mount Pleasant to West Ashley. Only 19 minutes from West Ashley to Mount Pleasant. And traveling along Highway 17, still no complaints as drive times in the low 20s whether you're headed southbound out of Mount Pleasant to West Ashley or if you're headed northbound from West Ashley to Mount Pleasant. Let's take a live look out on the roadways right now. This takes us to I-26 there, Ashley Phosphate Road. Westbound traffic heading toward us. Everything looking good, and that's what tends to get a little bit congested this time of day. Not the case today, and eastbound traffic looking good as well. This on-time traffic report sponsored by Fred Anderson Toyota of Charleston.
All right, Sonia, another place that took a beating yesterday was Folly Beach. Our crew said the wind was howling down there. Plenty of reports of some bad beach erosion, some power outages. We sent Brody Hart back to Folly this morning to check things out.
Yeah, that's right. Folly Beach still dealing with the aftermath of Irma's effects from yesterday. One of the big ones, though, all these walkways to the beach. This is a public walkway right here. Bottom of it completely washed away. You got to get a big step up. Some of these stairs right here, they're not safe to walk on, pretty much rotted through. Over in this direction, let me show you. This one also completely washed away. This is not how it's supposed to look. Looks like it's missing one of the legs here as those heavy waves, that rain just battered it. You see over here, beach erosion pretty much made a cliff face on that dune there. Not what that's supposed to look like. That's not healthy for that part of the beach. Back in this direction, take a look. See that over there? That is also just washed away completely by those waves yesterday. Just heavy damage all along Folly Beach. You see that one in the distance over there? That actually looks healthy. That's what it's supposed to look like compared to some of these other ones. Walk with me now. This way we're going to swing it around. Very choppy out here again today. Not quite nearly what it was yesterday, but still seeing some white water. Look at these, though. All these walkways. Now, these are private walkways over on the other side. Those are just washed away there. That one, this looks like it was part of one of these. I'm not exactly sure. A little debris here, got a light bulb. This was part of one of these walkways. I'm not exactly sure which one that was a part of, but you can see on down in the distance. More damage. That is the tail of the tape here this morning, and it's just a beautiful day, kind of a two-sided story this morning because we got a gorgeous day. But right now, what it reveals, what that gorgeous day reveals, is the damage of Hurricane Irma, that Irma just came through, that storm, I should say, that came through here and did this. A lot of the same damage we saw after Hurricane Matthew last year, kind of repeating itself here with Irma that came through and did, well, all this along Folly Beach. Is definitely a cleanup effort that's going to take some time. But for now, we're in Folly Beach, guys. That's the latest from here. I'll send it back to you.
Great job, Brody. Thank you. This video out of Myrtle Beach is going viral today. It's an Allegiant plane battling strong crosswinds at Myrtle Beach International Airport. You can see it twist and teeter. Irma's wind was so strong the plane couldn't land. It had to be diverted along with dozens of others.
Absolutely frightening. The Florida Keys are starting to come to grips with the staggering damage from Irma. FEMA is urging people forced to evacuate to remain patient as they wait to return to their homes. It is still unclear if all the bridges between the islands and the Florida Keys are safe to use. They say structurally they look fine, but they still will have to be inspected. Dozens are still making their way back. FEMA said that 1 in 4 homes, 25% of the homes on the Keys, they've been wiped out. About 2 out of 3 are still severely damaged.
25% of the houses initially have been destroyed and 65% have major damage. Basically every house in the Keys was impacted in some way or another. This is why we ask people to leave.
Administrator Brock Long says FEMA is working with governors and emergency management authorities of affected states and territories to make sure it's safe for evacuees to return.
In Florida, thousands of people tonight are still without electricity. Many of those are senior citizens who rely on power for their life-saving medical machines. Irma Farinas went to a West Palm Beach retirement home where people say time is of the essence.
All I have to do is just walk a few feet and I'm out of breath.
Mae Brewster struggles breathing as she talks to us about being without power for more than 24 hours.
But what about the elderly people that live in here? I'm 79 years of age. I don't even think I'll make 80.
Brewster, who relies on an oxygen machine, says the last time they lost power, they were without electricity for 16 days.
I think seniors is very fragile. They are of age. There are a lot of sick people here.
Her neighbor, Eugene Spann,
This is what I was using to go all over the house with.
recalls when the storm knocked out their power.
When my power went out like 5:20, 5:30, and you guys just walked me through the whole thing that night. You made me feel so comfortable.
While his battery-powered radio got him through the storm, he knows for some of his neighbors the loss of electricity is a much more dire situation than what he is experiencing.
I know this is just the second or third day, but you know, how much can a person take?
That was Irma Farinas reporting. At the peak of the storm, more than 7 million people were without power. That includes more than half the population of Florida.
Tonight, thousands of people are getting ready to take a bite out of life with the announcement of the newest iPhone. But it's going to cost a whole lot of money. We'll let you know how much. Plus,
What time did you get here?
4:30, yes. 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Hundreds of people celebrate her return. Hillary Clinton back on the national stage. In other headlines tonight, President Trump's decision to end the DACA program is sparking a growing number of legal challenges from states across our country.
yesterday, California became the 16th state to sue the Trump administration. The state claims the move to rescind DACA is unconstitutional. California is home to a quarter of the 800,000 people benefiting from the program.
The so-called Dreamers were brought to the U.S. illegally as children, but for years now, DACA has protected them from deportation.
I've never seen a case where we tell children that we're going to punish them for acts that they were not responsible for.
In Washington, House Democrats are vowing to pass legislation to protect the Dreamers by Christmas. The White House says the responsibility for helping the DACA recipients should fall on Congress.
All right, a huge crowd inside a Manhattan bookstore as Hillary Clinton arrived to sign copies of her new book. Last year's Democratic presidential candidate stopped by Barnes & Noble to promote and sign copies of her new memoir, What Happened.
The book takes a close look at last year's presidential campaign through the eyes of Clinton. She offers a number of explanations in the book as to why she believes she lost to President Trump. She has taken criticism from both sides about her decision to write her memoir.
Now to the story that everyone really seems to be talking about. The newest member of the Apple family introduced today.
The tech giant unveiled 3 new phones, not 1, not 2, but 3. And the big reveal was the very first to take place at Apple's new spaceship headquarters in California. ABC's Elizabeth Herr has all the details.
The wait finally over for iPhone fans. Apple first unveiling the new iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, touting new glass body designs, cameras with new features, including portrait lighting.
Now, these aren't filters.
This is real-time analysis of the light on your subject's face.
As well as new motion sensors to support apps made for augmented reality.
You can use AR Kit with this app to actually superimpose the map on top of the sky as you're looking at it around you.
Changing the experience even for gamers.
It's like you're not just controlling the game, you're in the game.
And as expected, Apple also introducing wireless charging. The price tag, no big surprises here. The iPhone 8 starting at $699, the 8 Plus $799. Then came this.
One more thing.
Calling it the future of the smartphone, marking 10 years since the first iPhone was introduced.
This is iPhone 10.
Apple released the iPhone 10, priced at $999, with a brand new edge-to-edge screen, new animated emojis that mimic the user's facial expressions, and gone is the home button.
The iPhone 10, your iPhone is locked until you look at it and it recognizes you.
The Apple TV and Watch also got an update. Now, as for the new iPhones, pre-orders for the iPhone 8 start next week, iPhone 10 next month. Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, New York.
ABC News 4 First Warning Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Williams.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at those weather headlines. And here's what we've got for you. It is much, much nicer out there right now. I was trying to run out and look at how nice it actually is. Those temperatures are warming up. We're going to see some low rain chances, but 20, maybe 30%, kind of the typical this time of the year. Still warm and muggy, and you get a couple afternoon pop-ups. Jose's out there, but I'm not worried about Jose, and neither should you be. If Jose was a real big problem, we'd start with it right away. We're not going to get to that for a few minutes here. As we go ahead and take a look at the satellite and radar, we have those skies mainly clear. The clouds still rotating back into the storm system Irma off to the west, but it's no longer a tropical system. It's just a storm sitting in the lower Mississippi Valley, and it's still pulling moisture in all the way off the Atlantic Ocean, through the mid-Atlantic, into the Ohio Valley, and back into the storm system. But it is no longer a threat to anyone here in South Carolina. So Irma has moved away, weakened, no longer a tropical system. The only system we have in the Atlantic Ocean right now that's organized is Jose. Jose is a Category 1 hurricane. At one time, this had winds of 155 miles an hour. It was the same intensity as Irma, but it has weakened. It's going to continue to weaken. In fact, it looks like it could weaken back to a tropical storm. 75-mile-an-hour winds right now. As we track it, it's going to move off to the east, possibly back to a tropical storm. It's going to head back to the west, but look at this. I like the look of that track on Jose. Not so much for the folks in Bermuda, but notice it's still a very weak storm, only a Category 1 hurricane. It's small. We'll be on the weaker side of that storm. It's not going to be anywhere close to us, so we'll watch it out there, but no problem at this point. 80 degrees outside right now. Southwesterly winds around 9 miles an hour. Your dew point 67, so it feels pretty comfortable out there. 66 to 71 overnight tonight. Just a few passing clouds, maybe just a touch of some fog. Sunshine and clouds as we head into the day tomorrow. Middle 80s, a little bit warmer than what we saw today. We're at 80 right now, but look off to our west where the clouds and the rain are, with the remnants of Irma. 64 in Atlanta, only 59 in Jackson, Mississippi right now. The remnants of Irma, they're kind of milling around back here as we wind forward in time. They're going to lift up into the Ohio Valley. We're going to be nice and quiet 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Sun and clouds into the afternoon tomorrow, and a little bit warmer moving from Wednesday on into Thursday. No concerns with our weather. We're going to see lots of sunshine, just the slightest chance of a stray shower here or there, but in general, just beautiful. Here's what we've got. Quieter weather now, and we'll enjoy it while we can. Those temperatures topping off in the mid and upper 80s each day, and hardly even a chance for rain. So get out there, enjoy it, especially this weekend. We could use some time to enjoy the outdoors. Now we're going to take a look at the roads. Sonia Stevens is watching those for us.
Thanks, Dave. And we need some time to continue to dry out, especially downtown, where we still have some roads that are closed through tomorrow. So let's run down that list. I got 3 slides for you. Alexander between America and Chapel. Washington between Chapel and Calhoun. Anson between Calhoun and North Market. All right, more road closures downtown. Hughie between King and Meeting. Ashley Avenue between Congress and Fishburne Avenue, Barr Street between Montague and Bufane, Wentworth between Lockwood and Gadsden, and also closed until Wednesday. Again, America Street between Lee and Blake Street, Aiken between Line and Columbus, Drake between Columbus and South Street. If you missed some of those, check out our ABC News 4 traffic account. I tweeted that just a little while ago. All right, a live look out on the roadways right now. Takes us to 526 there at Leeds Avenue, and eastbound traffic and westbound traffic looks to be in pretty good shape. A little more traffic there in those westbound lanes, but certainly nothing that will slow you down. This on-time traffic report sponsored by Fred Anderson Toyota of Charleston.
The ABC News 4 Catch of the Week is sponsored by Seals Outboard.
All right, how about these avid anglers, Marco and Rocco DiCarlo, had quite a catch. They sent in a snapshot so we could show it to you. We want you to do the same. Dave, what kind of fish is that? Is that a, looks like
largemouth bass.
Largemouth bass. Your picture could win a $100 gift. What's the best way to cook that, Dave?
Fry it up.
Huh?
Fry it up. Beer batter it and fry it up.
That sounds good. We're going to feature photos on the air during the week and announce a weekly winner on Thursday. Just head to abcnews4.com/catch for contest details.
All right, you're watching ABC News 4 at 5. During the storm, you were working for us. We'll take a look at your pictures and videos from Irma.
I could show this picture all night because it looks beautiful out there. What a difference 24 hours makes. Things are nice and quiet in downtown Charleston. Mix of sun and clouds. George Sink Injury Lawyer Skyview Network. 80 degrees outside right now. A mix of sun and clouds. Here are some of the temperatures throughout the low country. Mid-70s to right around 80. Temperatures were a little bit below average today, but we'll get things back on track tomorrow. Falling back through the 70s until 11 o'clock. Clear skies, possibly a little fog settling in, headed toward tomorrow morning. We'll drop back into the mid-60s, but then by tomorrow afternoon, looks like the mid-80s return. We'll get you a full forecast, and that's only a few minutes away.
All right, Dave, thanks. Throughout the storm, all of you out in the low country helped us out. You became our eyes and ears. We got hundreds of tips about what was going on. We got hundreds of pictures, hundreds of videos. A few of those playing on your screen right now. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, if you'd like to share your pictures or videos with us, it is not too late. It is as easy as the click of a button or the swipe of a finger. There are 4 ways to send them in. Just go to our website. That's abcnews4.com/send it. Or you can find us as well on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Dean, I heard you mention, do we have a Snapchat the other day?
Yeah, do we?
I don't know. We need to work on that.
Are you on Snapchat?
Yeah, I don't use it too often, but
no,
I'm there. I told you I would work on getting you an account set up.
That ain't happening.
One more thing to have to mess with, right?
That's not happening.
Instagram?
I'm on Instagram. See you at 6.
Good night.